morning, Devon. It's the 1st of June and we couldn't have asked for a nicer day with sunshine throughout and highs of up to 30 degrees.
It's a genuine 52,000 mile E-Type.
I've had my Mini since 2007.
I bought it as a white VR6.
69 Chevrolet Camaro.
So today at Refuel we've been honoured to host Resto Shack and their 10-year anniversary. Such a great local business, a really good shining example of a locally grown automotive business, which is exactly the sort of people we love to work with.
I gave someone in America a load of money, not seen it. I looked at all the 200 odd photographs, saw that it was an original untouched car, and I took a 50 grand punt. Followed the boat over the sea, make sure it didn't hit any hurricanes. Turned up to Southampton and originally wanted the car to be perfect. So I Googled restorers or paint restorers around Devon, and I'd never heard of Dave before. He came up, I gave him a phone call. And he says, yeah, I'll come and have a look at it. And he took it on. I think it's the only E-Type he's done. And all I did, I gave him one remit. I said, whatever you do, the shut lines and all the shadow lines need to be perfect. And if you look at it, he's done it.
Can we forgive? Can we forget? Can we heal the dying light?
This is my 1969 Chevrolet Camaro. I bought this one back in 2014. Imagine it nothing like it is now. Just picture a birdcage with no floor pans, no trunk, a motor that was kind of out of it, who knows if it was running or not. So I did pretty much all the mechanical work myself, but then it come to a point where I soon realised that the bodywork is way beyond my capability, and that's where I got in with our good friend Dave at Resto Shack. Turned up one day and he said that he'd come out and have a look, so he did, and that's when we took it down to the shop, and it was there for probably about a year on and off. And then Dave welded floor pans in, rear trunk panel, did all the bodywork, all the lines. So a 4-year project. Then we've done some cool stuff since then. So we went up to Goodwood together for retro rides. Went around the circuit, which was really, really nice there. But at the minute, I've got a 5.3 litre LS in there, which is mated with a 6-speed Tremec T56 out of a Dodge Viper. And yeah, this thing goes. Like, I've had it at about 130, but it still wants to go more. So yeah, and yeah, that's my Camaro.
Tell me a little bit about your golf, please, buddy.
So basically, I bought this when the Olympics was on in London. It was Viper Green, and just started doing little bits on it occasionally. And then in the end, I had enough because it was full of rot. So decided gonna have to look around and find someone who could do it. Followed Dave for a while, and then yeah, just went down and met him, and it all went from there really. So, and yeah, it was a full bare metal paint job. So that was the first thing that we was talked about, and then it just went from there really, and just, you know, like I collected loads of parts, Dave was doing it, and it just went from there. The car speaks for itself, really, when you look at it and the work he's put into it. So yeah, and I've had it back now 6 years nearly, and it still looks as good as it did when I got it back off him, so that just goes to prove how good it is, really.
I bought it as a white VR6 conversion. The conversion's already done. Dave asked me to get a car that was solid, as a good project to work from. So the conversion's already done. It got back to completely bare, stripped, bare shelled. Every nut and bolt got changed. Dave did a brilliant job. The car in the green, I wanted it. We got the BBS wheels done. Wanted the kind of Mark II 16 valve look. But I took delivery of it originally, and my fault, I didn't like how it drove. So I went home that night, and Dave was still fettling, and ordered the supercharger kit. And and then said, Dave, really sorry, but you're going to have to put the supercharger kit on it now. And he's done a fabulous job because it looks stock. He kind of took a brand new car, if you like, and then put the supercharger on it, and you could never tell. So he's done a great job on it. I love the journey I love the journey coming down to see Dave in the progress, and discussing with Dave what we're going to do next. And For me, I love the going and sourcing the bits, going out, finding a rare part, and then kind of like getting it to Dave. This is what we've got. This is what we're going to do.
I think it's been about 10 years coming. So I bought the car off of a mate and it was a bit rotten back then, about 500 quid, and came with a bunch of panels. The idea was just to get it MOT'd and running. Things snowballed slightly, started welding it up, got to know Dave from Resto Shack a little bit, and he had a couple of good ideas to get the car in, get the panels done properly, and some money later and some more time later, came out with this beautiful paintwork, wonderfully done. Gwennin helped him as well, so pretty much touched every part of this car. It's an original VW colour, so came off some quite rare Mark 1s. It's got a little bit of a flake in the paint, so if you get a lovely day like today, actually sparkles a little bit as well. Because of the work at Resto Shack, it was flattened back from colour polished. They did an amazing job on it. It's lovely now, so you can try and keep it as nice as long as they possibly can.
Well, it came to me by accident. I used to work on them when I was an apprentice. Yeah. So like Mark 1, Mark 2 Escorts, I was apprentice panel beater. Yeah. So so then my sister-in-law came up to me and said, do you want a Mark 2 Escort Mexico? Like, no. Do you mean like no? So I ended up buying it. We paid £1,700 for it at the time. Yeah. And that was, I think, 2005. I did most of the front end myself, yeah. So like I could do like the panel beating, yeah. But then we were in need of the sheet metal work. We found Dave, and then we got all the roof repaired, the rear chassis all repaired and saved. Do you mean? For me, being an Opel, is the car primed twice. That's what we used to do in the older days. So Dave said he didn't mind if I was prepared for him to pay for the paint, and he'd rub it on the floor. That was fine. So we primed it once, yeah, rubbed it down, primed it again, and then obviously painted it. But if you look at the depth in the sun, you can see that there's, the prime was there. It's got better paint on it than it was for new. And then I was lucky enough to meet the other Dave from the other garage, yeah, which they for all the mechanical work. So we've got full Group 1 suspension, engine and everything. So as it was basically, I think the only thing that wasn't available at the time is the power assisted steering, but I'm getting a bit old. So and the tyres are right up to spec, like.
I've had my Mini since 2007, and Dave and himself painted it in 2012, and then it's been on the road since then, loving it. It was in British Racing Green, it was in a bit of a state. I took it to Dave just to have a simple spray job, and then they ended up taking it apart. The whole front end came off, and it was rotten right down through, and it ended up being fully restored, and it was going to be in a monster green, but it ended up being in the Focus green, and I love the colour, love driving it. It's a head turner, and he's done a great job. Love it.
You build up more of a relationship than you would in most other companies, because it was so one-to-one, and it's just so much fun, and you're joking all the time. You always get more job satisfaction because you're doing so much more with the customers than you normally would any other environment. They're forever coming in and checking, and you'll ask them, is this happy? Where do you want to go from here? If they change their mind, you accommodate everything, and they'll pop in periodically and just have a good chat, and it's really satisfying. Probably 5-6 years ago, but it's nice to see that he's still turning out the quality of work that he's renowned for. Working there is probably not what you'd expect. It's a tiny little shed in the middle of nowhere. It's an absolute nightmare to get to. And in terms of quality of tools, obviously the tools are all there, but the building's an old rusty shed with flaky roofs and a makeshift booth, but as you can see from his work, like what he turns out is, it's second to none really. You can't deny he's up there with all the big boys.
Well, I worked with Dave beforehand, before it was Resto Shack. So I learned with Dave, so he taught me pretty much everything about restoration. It was hard to learn, to get everything perfect and things like that, but at the same time, I'm really grateful that I was taught to do things the Resto way, because it just made for doing everything properly. And when Dave said he was doing this, I was like, this is cool, I'll get to catch up with everybody and see the cars, and just, it's really cool. It's a really cool idea, the weather's lovely,
Some of the videos on Facebook ended up being millions of views, and it was just completely unexpected that people all around the world cared what this little 2-3 guy workshop in the middle of nowhere was doing to these cars. And I think that all really took us by surprise about the power of just showing people what you're doing. It didn't even matter really what it was. People were just so interested in the process of taking a car apart, restoring it and putting it back together and making something as amazing as what these cars now are.